Warm greetings. Today is Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. In this video, I'll provide an update on the forecast related to potential cyclonic development in Caribbean waters and also on a low-pressure system expected to develop to the northeast of the Caribbean. It is projected that these disturbances will interact, causing an episode of heavy rains across southern Central America and much of the greater Antilles, where some flooding is anticipated over the next 7 days. The most significant change in today's projections compared to yesterday is that models now have better consensus that, if a tropical cyclone develops, it will likely follow a more westerly path, eventually posing a threat to western Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, or Belize. While the rain accumulation forecast hasn't changed much since yesterday, the cyclonic threat seems to be increasing in the western Caribbean region, and today most models are aligning with the European model's projection. Meanwhile, we currently have some areas of cloudiness and adverse weather affecting much of Central America and the greater Antilles. This instability and rain coverage will continue to increase in the coming days. As of 2 p.m., the National Hurricane Center maintains a 40% chance of cyclonic development south of Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. We also remain alert to the possibility that the area north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic could be marked. However, the National Hurricane Center has not yet marked this zone with cyclonic development potential. Let's look at the most recent global model projections. Starting with the American model, it shows two low-pressure areas developing on Friday night, one north of Colombia and another just north and northeast of Puerto Rico. In its latest projection, this model consolidates the low-pressure northeast of the Caribbean into a tropical depression or storm over the weekend, moving over parts of the Turks and Caicos, Haiti, and eastern Cuba. Between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the American model projects that a tropical cyclone could be moving westward toward the Yucatan Peninsula or western Cuba, potentially reaching the Gulf of Mexico. This is a significant change from a few days ago when the model developed a hurricane south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Today's projection now resembles the European model. For example, in the latest run of the European model, on Friday morning, it develops a low-pressure system north of Panama and, over the weekend, another one north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. By early next week, it develops a tropical cyclone just north of Honduras and south of Cuba. Between Wednesday and Friday next week, it shows a potential tropical storm approaching the Yucatan Peninsula and moving toward the Gulf of Mexico. This is notable since the European model has been consistent with this projection, and other models, like the American model, are now aligning with it. Similarly, the German model also shows a tropical storm developing north of Panama and Colombia and a strong low pressure, possibly a tropical depression, to the northeast of the Caribbean. The UK model similarly depicts a tropical depression or tropical storm forming north of Puerto Rico and northeast of the Dominican Republic. This is why I suspect that, at some point, the National Hurricane Center may also mark this zone with cyclonic development potential. The important point is that today's consensus is that if a low pressure develops in the Caribbean, it will likely move toward the western Caribbean, increasing the risk for areas of the Yucatan Peninsula, western Cuba, and eventually the Gulf of Mexico. Members of the American model also see low-pressure development northeast of the Caribbean, with some projecting a westerly path interacting with the Caribbean's low-pressure system, while others show a more northeasterly movement. However, there's noticeable discrepancy among the GFS model members, which is why everyone in the Caribbean should stay alert to the forecast's evolution. In contrast, members of the European model continue to show strong consensus that cyclonic development should occur north of Panama or south of Jamaica, tracking west-northwest to eventually reach the western Caribbean. In fact, with today's model adjustments, this scenario now appears most likely, with the low pressure developing north of Puerto Rico possibly tracking westward and eventually converging with the Caribbean's low pressure near Cuba or the Yucatan Peninsula. So it's essential to stay updated as this forecast evolves. While changes in the global models are anticipated, we currently cannot pinpoint exactly which region might feel the impact of a tropical cyclone. However, we know that over the next 7 days, a very rainy pattern will affect much of the Caribbean, as shown by the GFS radar projection. Particularly, Nicaragua, Panama, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico are expected to see significant rainfall by the end of this week and early next week. Model projections indicate that Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and the northern Lesser Antilles could receive over 200 millimeters of accumulated rainfall over the next 5 to 6 days, equivalent to 4 to 8 inches for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Additionally, for Costa Rica, Panama, and parts of Colombia's coast, 200 to 300 millimeters of rain is expected over the next 7 days, which matches the European model's rainfall accumulations. Thus, residents in the Caribbean, particularly in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the Virgin Islands, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, and Colombia's coast, should stay vigilant for possible flooding over the next 7 days. Here at Hurricane Info, I'll continue monitoring the evolution of this forecast and keep you informed of any changes in the coming days. Be sure to check if you're subscribed to my channel. Please subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell to receive notifications when I record new videos. Tomorrow, I'll be updating this forecast. Until then, take care.